Hey, welcome to Waiting on the Most High. This week, I want to touch on obedience, just the importance of it, how it relates to our lives with our family and friends, and of course, how it relates to our lives spiritually. So, a couple of Sundays ago, I actually spoke at my mom's church to the youth there for Youth Day. And they had different topics that they all took time to research, and they had a moment each Sunday to talk about what their research was on, whether it be obedience or patience and things of that nature. So when I went, I talked to them about obedience, just emphasizing how important it is and how as children that relationship with your parents and how you are practicing obedience at home really does reflect on how that relationship will look with God later. And I was just really taking time to think about just myself personally as a kid. I think I was a pretty obedient kid. I didn't get in trouble for like breaking curfew or things like that. My mama really had me scared to do a lot. But I think in that sense, I can't talk on about the times where I just feel like I had to do something outside of what I was told to do. But I know a lot of us have experienced moments to where we just either the rules aren't fitting for what it is you desire or what it is you want your life to look like, or if just you just don't like to take instruction. And in both instances, it can really negatively impact who you grow to be. And when you are ready to have a personal relationship with God, how you respond to the many instructions that He does give you as His child. I know that there are times when, especially now, just in life, and the experiences that I've had with where I think I'm supposed to be going, whether it's career wise or just personally with my friendships and other relationships, that I know God is telling me to do one thing and it just feels so out of the ordinary or out of my character that it's difficult to do. And you'll be surprised just how practicing obedience in your everyday life can prepare you for moments like that in the real world when you're dealing with real emotions from all types of directions and the things that you really can't see that are happening spiritually within and around you. So when I was talking to the kids about obedience and during my studying, I realized that obedience is like a really big deal in the Bible. So much of a big deal to where one of the commandments that God gave Israel was relating to how parents should discipline their children if they are disobedient. And in the most drastic cases, it was literally to stone your kid to death if they weren't being obedient to you. And it was proven to be so by the judges and things that were in the communities at the time. So when I'm sitting back and I'm thinking like, wow, God really said it was okay for parents to off their kids if they don't do what they say. And I think that a lot of times we look at making our own choices or doing things our way as if it's something that should be praised, when in reality we have rules and instructions for a reason. Like some rules, of course, may not seem real important. It may not seem as if it'll make a major difference in the outcome of your life, but I'm pretty sure like in the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve probably thought the same thing when it came to eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. It doesn't seem as if that's that important, eating from a tree, but ultimately it definitely changed the course of life for everyone after that. So just keeping that in mind, that wherever you're feeling like you're being led, whatever it is you feel like God is telling you to do, you got to do it. And you should pray for the type of conviction to where if you don't do it, you feel as if everything else is off, nothing else feels right. And I think that's when you know for sure that you are going on the right path and following a direction that'll lead you to finding out what your purpose is and what it is God's will is for your life. But that comes with a lot of losses, losing a lot of different relationships, losing a certain level of respect from some people because what you're doing may seem so out of the ordinary and so odd that other people around you just may not understand. And I was talking to the kids about that, how really being obedient, following directions at school, things of that nature, people might say you lame for it and it just may not look like the cool thing to do, but ultimately there's a greater reward for doing what's deemed right according to whatever laws you're following versus not doing it. And I think that that's just the biggest deal right now with so many of us in the world, and we're trying to figure out like what it is we're supposed to be doing. Like, what's my purpose? What is the importance of me being here? And we simplify it to just our jobs or our roles with our families, whether we're mothers, fathers, whether you take pride in being a good son. It's certain things that we just bottle everything into, but there are so many different parts of us and so many things that we can offer the world. It's not just one thing. But I do think that it's really difficult to find out what those things are if you're not being obedient to what it is God is calling you to do. And for us parents, right, we expect obedience from our kids, but are we really being obedient in our own lives? And whatever it is that we believe is calling us, are we being obedient to those things? You have to be an example. You can't expect your children to just automatically know what it looks like to be obedient. I know for me, like when it came down to being loyal to people and having like a true loyalty in relationships, I knew what loyalty was. I was taught to treat people a certain way and to have your friends' backs and things of that nature. But I never really saw loyalty acted out within my home. It was just me and my mom. And it wasn't a sense of I'm watching her actually commit her time and sacrifice things and be loyal to someone else and vice versa. I didn't have any siblings, so there wasn't anyone for me to connect to personally on that level as a child. So in a lot of my friendships, it was either difficult for me to trust people or I gave trust too easily. And I experienced a lot of disloyalty, and I've actually given a lot of disloyalty too, as I sit back and I just reflect on life and my relationships. And again, it's not like I wasn't taught what it is. I just never saw it. So when it comes down to us expecting that obedience from our kids, you can't just say it. You can't just throw out these rules and expect for them to follow them when they don't watch you follow the rules. Even with something as simple as running a red light or a stop sign. My kids will tell me in a minute, I don't run red lights, but the yellow light as it's turning red, they like, hold on, Mom, you just ran that light. But something that small, they're watching those things and they're making mental note. Like they know the laws, they know the rules and the regulations just like we do. And they're watching whether or not you're following those instructions. And if you yourself can't be obedient, why would you expect that from your child? And even the deeper things spiritually that they don't know and they don't understand, they know when the energy may be off within your home. They can see that life may look a little different and things aren't going as well. Times may be a little tougher and they may not understand exactly why, but they're making mental notes of those things too. So when they do carry them on into their life and into adulthood and they start experiencing those moments, you want them to be able to compare them to something and being vulnerable and expressing the times where you know that you weren't as obedient as you should have, and giving them an opportunity to learn from your mistakes. It's really a big deal. And I think sometimes we can downplay how important obedience is in our path to finding out who we are as we're losing this weight, as we're dropping things that aren't serving us in a positive light anymore. And, like we talked about discipline before, obedience falls right in line with it. When it comes to meal plans and things, those of us who may have personal trainers, you got to be obedient to what it is they're telling you to do in order to get the results that you're looking for. And I think that's one area that I still struggle in showing that type of discipline and obedience to, because I just feel like if I want to eat some pizza, I'm going to eat some pizza. And I have to be disciplined and be obedient and follow those meal plans and things of that nature if that's what I choose to do, and if those are leading to results that I'm looking for. And I know that as adults, it's like you feel like you should get to a point where you can make your own rules. And that's a part of like why I'm choosing to be an entrepreneur now. I do want to make my own rules to a certain extent. I know that there are things that I can control. And if I was giving that control to other people that I didn't trust or I felt like weren't valuing me in a certain way, then yeah, of course, start your own business and stick that out so that you can make your own rules and be your own boss. But it's certain things in life that we just don't have control over. And it can be difficult to admit like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. I am in my 30s and I feel like I should be going this direction or things should look this way. But if you just take time to sit with God and just listen and figure out exactly what it is he's telling you specifically. We all have these general rules that we have to follow. Like the 10 Commandments, we know thou shalt not kill and all that stuff. But each and every one of us has something specific that's special to who you are that God is telling you to do. And that counts toward your obedience. And if you're listening and if you're really willing to do the work to drop the weight and to change and to grow. But I think that that's a great example for us to have as adults for the generation coming behind us. Because sometimes I think for the generation before us, it was all about just looking like a superhero and like you got everything put together, even when you don't. But I see a lot now, a lot of us aren't afraid to just let it be what it is and be honest with ourselves and our loved ones and our kids just about what we actually are capable of doing. And being truthful about if you have a desire to do more. And if you don't, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. But don't allow your desires to affect or make someone else feel like they're too much or they're not enough. Just focus on what it is you can control. Listen to the positive things that you're being fed from your friends or your families. And just try your best to take the necessary steps that you know are going to lead you to greatness. It get difficult. It can be hard. It can be confusing. But just listen and follow it through. And I'm pretty sure you'll make it out on the other side better than you came. Thanks for coming by and listening, and have a great day. Here we go again with our affirmations for the week. I have discernment to know the voice of an enemy versus my friend. I am friendly and I lead with love. I attract positivity and love into my life. Have a good week.